Link and Malon ventured up the avenue that led to the castle. The urban landscape evolved into a more open one, as the avenue became an uphill path. It took them to the top of a hill that overlooked the city, an extravagant site for an extravagant edifice. The royal palace was large and symmetrical, its masonry matching the stone in the grassy hills about it. Octagonal turrets on the corners surrounded 3 central towers, which were topped with pyramidal roofs of a periwinkle slate, each with its own royal purple flag fluttering about the top. They reached a gate surrounded by massive gardens of colorful flowers and bushes. The gate held an immovable quality with that white stone. It was crowned with a carved eagle overlooking the ground's visitors. They approached the guard at its side, Malon slightly ahead. She asked, "Hello, I am looking for my dad, the milk delivery man." "Milk delivery? Wasn't that scheduled to arrive this morning?" he inquired. "It did," she replied politely. "But you see, he must have fallen asleep somewhere. He falls asleep a lot. May we go look for him?" "So you're Talon's daughter. My, miss, I had no idea he was still around here. Of course, I'll let you go in to look for him, but who is this with you?" He looked at Link, and Link grew nervous. Surely the guard would not let some random boy in at the risk of causing some sort of mayhem. It was then Malon said, "This is my cousin. His family is visiting ours back at the ranch." "Oh, I see." The guard proceeded to signal the gate mechanic inside the side tower to slide open the wrought iron bars. As they cranked open, the guard said, "I would come with you, but I am not to leave my post. Please stay off the flower beds. Keep your voices down, and if anyone asks, tell them the guard at the front gate let you in." So, Link and Malon traversed up the path, through the gardens, and towards the front of the castle. Its regal stature was emphasized by a moat and a drawbridge that was closed. They ventured off to the side of the castle, searching for a back door where deliveries arrived. They finally found a back door, with a stack of crates next to it, each marked with a silhouette of a cow with a nose ring. Sure enough, Talon was fast asleep, his back against the stack. He indeed looked like a rancher, with his tattered overalls and muddy boots. He was a hairy man. His hair ran up from his hands to his arms and seemed to burst from the collar of his red shirt. He had facial hair across his face except for his chin. Other than that, it seemed the only place he lacked hair was the top of his head. This plump man was snoring quite loudly. Link was astonished he wasn't noticed. "Okay, fairy boy," Malon addressed Link. "If you're going to sneak into the castle, I'd rather my dad not know about it. He has nothing to do with it, and I don't want him to lose his orders from Hyrule Castle. So, hurry and do what you need to do. I'll wait here, and then we'll wake him up together. Then we'll leave like nothing ever happened. So, don't get caught. Wait, don't you want to know why I'm doing this? I saw your face when the guard told you about the man who's visiting here. This man is dangerous, is he not?" Malon seemed to have the ability to read people. She knew Link was not out to stir a ruckus, and if she had laid eyes on Ganondorf herself, she would see his malevolence too. With this recognition came a silent understanding. Link grimly turned away and began scouting the perimeter for a breach. Not too far away from the back door was a fountain feeding the moat. It was a hole with water trickling out of it, just big enough for him to squeeze through. He crossed the moat and climbed up to it, where he condensed his body and inched through. On the other side was another garden, an inner one, even more private to the royal family. Link crept up the moat feed and found a hedge to hide behind. As he peeked from behind it, he saw long paths crisscrossing beds of petunias, tulips, marigolds, roses, and other flowers of the sort, outlined by well-kept hedges. On the paths were guards on patrol, many of them. Link needed to get by each and every one of them without being noticed. He figured that crouching there accomplished nothing, and he soon gathered the courage to start sneaking past them, one by one, utilizing the hedges as they were just tall enough to conceal him from certain angles. Link's heart pounded with fear of being caught, but the rush of that fear kept him going, and by the time he got to the other side, he felt a newfound confidence in his sneaking abilities. It soon occurred to Link how large this place was, and finding the princess would prove to be difficult. He then heard a melody start to play. A soft one, it was, in a familiar tone. It was soothing, like a lullaby. Link carefully followed it around a corner and into a large round courtyard. A stream of water flowed around the circumference, with a quaint bridge crossing over it, onto a luscious green lawn lined with more colorful flowers and small trimmed trees. At the front of this courtyard was a stone porch underneath an arched window engulfed in ivy. Looking through that window was a girl. She was wearing a bonnet. She must have heard Link's footsteps, for she turned around at his entrance. It was the girl from his dream, fair, with blonde hair, and bright blue eyes. It was the princess. Link had finally found Zelda. He froze in the middle of the courtyard and stood before the princess. The source of the familiar tone was a shiny light blue ocarina in the palms of the Hyrule royalty. "Who are you? How did you get past the guards?" she asked in a soft, perplexed voice. She did not seem threatened. Link suddenly remembered who was addressing him. He swooped to a knee, kneeling on it with his head down, quickly replying, "My apologies for sneaking in, Your Highness." "Is that?" she began before he could finish his thought. "A fairy?" Link's hat had flopped over his head when he bowed. This must have revealed Navi to her. Link looked back up at her, and Navi started fluttering about Link's head. "Then are you from the forest?" she inquired, almost dumbfounded. "I am, Princess. The great Deku Tree sent me." "Then you wouldn't happen to have the spiritual stone of the forest, would you? The green and shining stone?" Link lit up at the description. He reached in his knapsack and pulled out the stone the tree had bequeathed to him. "You mean this, Your Highness?" he asked as he held it up, glimmering in the afternoon sunlight. Zelda's face showed shock as she recognized the emerald. With that, Link approached her and stepped up onto the porch with it so that she could get a closer look. "Just as I thought," she exclaimed as she examined it in Link's fingertips. Link was astounded himself that she knew he had it. "You see," she explained grimly, "I had a dream, where dark storm clouds were billowing over all of Hyrule, a grievous despair I felt during it. But," she continued, looking off in the distance, "suddenly, a ray of light shot out of the forest, parted the clouds, and lit up the ground." She turned back to Link. The light turned into a figure holding a green and shining stone, followed by a fairy. I knew this was a prophecy, that someone would come from the forest, and here you are. Link was intrigued that she was having strange dreams too. He replied just as grimly, "I have been having dreams too, Your Highness. And you're in one. You're chased out of the city on a horse by an evil man in a cape." "A man in a cape?" she intervened. "Would he happen to have red hair, greenish skin?" Link was scared. He knew Ganondorf was there in the castle. "Yes." "Is this him in here?" She pointed between the mullions of the window she was peering into earlier. The window was to a grand chamber lined with marble columns and guards. A red carpet ran lengthwise down the center of the hall. On it walked the man from Link's dream. The cape, the hair, the skin, the face, it was all too familiar. "That's him," Link answered, almost in a melancholy manner. "I knew it," she hissed. "That is Ganondorf, the leader of the Gerudo. They hail from the desert far to the west. He has to symbolize the dark clouds from my dream, if you have dreamt about him." He stopped on the carpet and knelt on one knee, bowing before the non-visible king of Hyrule. "Look at him," she said. "Though he swears allegiance to my father, I am sure he is not sincere." "I know I'm sure of that," Link said, still glaring at Ganondorf. Link thought he saw Ganondorf's eyes peer over to the window, at which point Link quickly turned away. Zelda turned around too. What happened? Did he see you?" She smiled. "Don't worry. He does not know what we are planning. Yet." Link was exuberant that Zelda understood the situation. But he wasn't sure how they were going to curb this man in his position of great power. "Have you told the king about all this?" "I told him about my dream. However, he did not believe it to be prophecy," Zelda said solemnly. The king was oblivious to the evil intentions of the man before him. "Perhaps if I met him," Link suggested, "he could see that the figure with this shining green stone from the forest is real. I could tell him the great Deku Tree, guardian of the forest, was killed by a man from the desert." "The guardian of the forest? Dead by his hands?" Zelda was hearing of this for the first time. This is only the beginning. "I appreciate that, but my father is set in his ways. Bless him, but I do think his ego gets the better of him sometimes. Accusing a man of conspiracy for treason while he kisses the feet of the very man he allegedly wishes to remove from power? No, that would not bode well." Link still required an explanation. "It's not just your father's throne he's after, is it? The great Deku Tree spoke of a divine relic in a sacred realm. What was he talking about?" Zelda looked at him genially, and then began somewhat of a lecture. "Before time began, before spirits and life existed, Din, the goddess of power, with her strong flaming arms, she cultivated the land and created the red earth. Nehru, the goddess of wisdom, poured her wisdom onto the earth and gave the spirit of law to the world. Feror, the goddess of courage, with her rich soul, produced all life forms who would uphold the law. The three great goddesses, their labors completed, departed to the heavens, and golden triangles remained at the point where the goddesses left the world. Since then, the sacred triangles have become the basis of our world's providence. The resting place of these triangles, called the Triforce, has become the sacred realm." Link recalled the sigil of equilateral triangles on the fountain in the marketplace. Zelda continued in a soft voice. "I'm going to tell you the secret of the sacred realm that has been passed down by the royal family of Hyrule. Please keep this a secret from everyone." Link nodded his head with sincerity. Zelda continued. "The Triforce holds the power to grant the wish of the one who holds it in his hands. If someone with a righteous heart makes a wish, it will lead Hyrule to a golden age of prosperity. But if someone with an evil mind has his wish granted, the world will be consumed by evil. That is what has been foretold. It just so happens there exists a connection from this realm to the sacred realm, a means of obtaining the Triforce, fulfilling one of the outcomes I just stated. So, an ancient group of 7 wise men, known as the Sages, built a structure to protect this link to the awesome power of the Triforce, to defend it from evil ones. This structure stands right in this city. It is none other than the Temple of Time." Link suddenly understood the inscription on the fountain in the marketplace. "Long stand the Temple of Time." To a common person, the call for longevity of the temple probably stands for worship of the 3 goddesses, but there was a deeper meaning to the royal family. Zelda went on. "That's right, the Temple of Time is the entrance through which you can enter the sacred realm of our world. But the entrance is sealed by a stone wall called the Door of Time. And, in order to open the door, it is said that one must collect 3 spiritual stones, the ones crafted in honor of the creators." Link still held the crowned emerald in his hand, and he held it up after she mentioned it. "That is Feror's stone, the Kokiri emerald," Zelda told Link. "The 2 others are Din stone, the Goron ruby, and Nehru stone, the Zora sapphire. These, along with one more thing, are the keys to opening the Door of Time." "That one more thing?" The light blue ocarina that Link saw earlier was still in her lace-gloved hand, and she presented it to him. "Is the treasure the royal family keeps along with this legend, the Ocarina of Time." Link studied the instrument. It was larger than the clay ocarina for Saria. It also appeared to be ceramic, and on the mouthpiece was a gold band with an embossment of the Triforce. "Do you understand what Ganondorf is after now?" Zelda asked. What Ganondorf is after must be nothing less than the Triforce of the Sacred Realm. He must have come here to obtain it. He wants to conquer Hyrule, Link speculated. No, Zelda interrupted. He wants to conquer the entire world. We are the only ones who can protect Hyrule. I am afraid. I have a feeling that man is going to destroy Hyrule with his terrifying power. There was a pause between them. Both were visualizing unthinkable sights. It is fortunate that we have come, said Navi after the pause, suddenly taking part in the conversation. Fairies were shy around people other than their children. We will not let Ganondorf get his hands on the Triforce. Zelda was reinvigorated by her words. I will protect the Ocarina of Time with all my power. He shall not have it. You go find the 2 remaining spiritual stones. We will get to the Triforce ourselves, before Ganondorf does, and then defeat him. Link smiled and nodded. My attendant will guide you out of the castle, Zelda instructed as Link turned around and saw a tall figure in the courtyard entrance. Don't be afraid to talk to her. Link turned back to Zelda and gave another friendly nod, but as he was turning to go greet the attendant, Zelda quickly said, Oh, I'm sorry. I got carried away with all this and didn't properly introduce myself. Link turned back around and said with a smile, You're the Princess of Hyrule. I know your name. I never got yours, though. Link again took a knee, took the princess's lace-gloved hand, and lightly kissed it as he properly introduced himself. I am Link, at your service, your highness. Zelda pulled her hand back and replied, It is nice to make your acquaintance, Link. I am Zelda, Princess of Hyrule. She pinched her dress and curtsied for him. She stood back up and said, Strange, your name sounds somehow familiar. Okay then, Link. Come back here when you find the 2 other spiritual stones. This time, my attendant will write you a formal invitation. With that, Link bowed and turned to go greet the attendant. As he approached her, he recognized her plump lips and milk-white hair. She was the lady escorting Zelda out of the city as they fled from Ganondorf in his prophecy. Up close, Link could see the wrinkles riddled across the aged woman's face. Under each of her eyes was a tattoo of 3 silver radial striations, almost resembling lower eyelashes. This pattern appeared again in the center of her custom breastplate armor, only it was flipped around so that they were upper eyelashes, a part of a sigil that resembled an eye shedding a single tear. My name is Impa, of the Sheikah. She pointed to the mysterious sigil as she said the word Sheikah. My kind has been charged with protecting the royal family for ages. I am responsible for protecting Princess Zelda. I am afraid everything is exactly as the princess foretold. You seem so sure, posited Link. There have been similar prophecies written in ancient testaments, she replied grimly. But unfortunately to most, these have dissolved into legends. She looked Link in the eye. You are a courageous boy. You will do fine on this big, new adventure that you are heading out on. No matter which angle one worked it, it was no simple errand. Just retrieving the stone sounded like a vexing feat, and doing it before Ganondorf did made it no simpler. This was an adventure for Link, quite a change of scene from the simple life of the forest. Impa continued, My role in the princess's dream was to teach the melody to the one from the forest. Link wondered why he needed to learn a melody. This is an ancient melody passed down by the royal family. I have played this song for Princess Zelda as a lullaby ever since she was a baby. Not only will this melody serve as proof of your link to the royal family, but there is a mysterious power in these notes. Now listen carefully. Memorize this song. Whistle after me. Link pulled out Saria's ocarina and said, I have this. Even better, Impa said, pleasantly surprised. She proceeded to put her thumb and index finger in her mouth and whistled a tune that Link happened to hear Zelda playing on his way in. It took Link a while to find the right holes to cover, but he got it and memorized it. If the castle soldiers find you, there will be trouble, Impa warned. Let me lead you out of the castle. I first got past the front gate because I posed as the girl's cousin, Link admitted. She was looking for her father, the milk delivery man. She's expecting me back. That stout, sleepy man? Very well. I shall walk all of you out. Impa walked Link through a series of corridors to a door. This is where deliveries are made, she said as she opened it. At that instant, a startled Malon shrieked, waking her dad up in the process. What in tarnation? He yelled as he jumped awake. Oh, Malon, hi there. I suppose you're gonna let me have it for making you wait like that. Malon saw Link, who gave her a reassuring nod. Well, not in front of them, she responded. Who? Sir, it would be nice if you did not fall asleep on our grounds anymore, Impa said to Talon as she helped him up. I'm sorry, it won't happen again, he said as he yawned. Who's the boy? This is Link, Malon responded. He came up here with me to help look for you. Tarnation takes a village, don't it? He grumbled. I'm sorry I caused all this trouble. Quite all right, Impa said nonchalantly. I shall escort all of you out. So, without much trouble, they all got out of the grounds. The guard at the gate apologized to Impa for allowing them in, to which Impa waved her hand. Talon thanked Link for keeping Malon company, and Malon told Link to come and visit sometime. Then they left Link and Impa outside the front gate to head back to their ranch. Impa slowly walked with Link back towards the city, until she stopped on the inflection point of the hill down. Admiring the view, she said, You brave lad, we must protect this beautiful land of Hyrule. Do you see that structure down there in the city? She asked, pointing to a spire rising from the city below. That is the Temple of Time Princess Zelda spoke of. Now take a good look at that mountain over there, she said, now pointing at the volcano Link saw earlier. It stood in the distance behind the Temple of Time. That is Death Mountain, home to the Gorons. They hold the spiritual stone of fire. Who are the Gorons? Link asked curiously. You will meet them soon enough. At the foot of Death Mountain, you will find my home village, Kakariko. Link recalled the sign that pointed there. That is where I was born and raised, she said. It is where the Sheikah tribe were originally from. Small as it is now mostly Hylians that reside there. You should talk to some of the villagers there before you go up Death Mountain. Impa then reached behind her back, into some sort of pouch, which accompanied a sheathed dagger whose short handle protruded sideways. You should also equip yourself for it. Here's a map of Hyrule, a compass, and 500 rupees. She held out a gilded scroll, a handcrafted needle compass, and a velvet bag of jewels that constitute the currency of Hyrule. The song I just taught you has some mysterious power. Only members of the royal family are allowed to learn this song. Remember, it will help to prove your connection with the royal family. The princess is waiting for you to return to the castle with the stones. Here's a permit of admittance so you need not sneak in again. She handed Link a regal envelope sealed with a blob of wax stamped with the crest of Hyrule, the bird bearing the Triforce. That will also get you past the gate to Death Mountain. You need royal permission to go up there. She stepped back towards the castle gate. All right, we are counting on you. Wait, Link called. Why do I need royal permission to go up there? It is Death Mountain, Impa retorted with a deadpan look. Before Link could deliver any words of thanks, she threw something hard to the ground. It caused a flash that disoriented Link, and after the couple of seconds it took to lose effect, she was nowhere in sight. Navi appeared at Link's ear. The Sheikah are masters of illusion, but was that really necessary? Come on, let's head back into town to pick up some supplies with some of those rupees. Death Mountain looks a far way off from here. Very far. With that, Link started his walk back down into the city. With Navi's help, Link shopped the market square he walked through earlier with the money Impa gave him. He replenished his food supplies with dried fruit and jerky from the food stalls, adding to the Deku nuts and water he still had. From the blacksmith he bought a sheath for his blade, as well as a light, loose-fitting ring mail, so that he would be protected from any marauders or beasts that lurked in the fields and hills, not to mention the perils that give Death Mountain its name. Navi even convinced him to replace the wooden shield he painted with a sturdier steel shield from a bazaar. Still grieving the sudden demise of his guardian, Link was hesitant, but an upgraded shield would help him face whatever was out there. He ended up lining the bark on the inside of the new shield. It was a used Hylian shield that once belonged to a real Hyrulean knight. It was painted a royal blue, with the crest of Hyrule contrasting in yellow and red. Its gilded steel shimmered in the late afternoon light. Late afternoon? By the time Link and Navi finished all of this, the sun had dipped significantly. The trip to Kakariko alone took the time of 2 suns on foot, meaning 2 campouts would be required on the barren trail, thus twice the exposure to the dangers of the night. To this issue, Navi proposed, we could spend the rest of Impa's rupees on a night at an inn, and then depart at dawn. In honesty, Link was more than wary of what lurked in the dark of the mountains. Bears, coyotes, wolves, thugs, robbers, murderers. The blunt words of Impa were fresh in his ears. He was thinking of a way to reach the village quicker when it came to him. Lon Lon Ranch might have horses for sale.